Good morning, one and all. With the permission of the chair, today I am going to give a short presentation on the challenges and reform strategy in education system of Sikkim. So, first of all, education Vision 2030 in the government schools is to provide and ensure equitable quality education in Sikkim. Besides that, strengthening foundational skills, improving transition, and promoting excellence in teaching learning. So, education that provides students with the skill and competition they need to thrive in the 21st century. That it was the Vision 2030 of education system in the state of Sikkim. So in order to achieve this Vision 2030, we have certain challenges. And the most important challenges which our respected Secretary Sir has also reflected, that is one of the main is the declining enrollment in the schools. And another important is that learning outcome is to be strengthened, which we have to focus. And the perception of our parents in the government school is also different. And the teacher deployment. These are the four very important challenges which we are facing in our education system. So, the most important one is the declining enrollment in the schools, where if we see that the enrollment trend there in 2021, if we see that the total enrollment in the government and private sectors and other schools was around 1,37,000 something. But in a gap of 6 years, the overall trend goes down. That if we see the figure in 25-26, we see that all together the enrollment is 1,13,714. So almost there is a decline of 22,000 plus. So in total in the state of the Sikkim. So if we see the government schools, that the department schools, there were the enrollment of 81,000 in 21-22, but if we see in 25-26, there is a 61,317. But the decline in the private and other government-aided schools, if we see the number around 56,000 was there in 2021, but whereas it is 52,000 something. So it seems that the decline trend in the private schools and other aided schools, which includes JNB, central schools, army schools, all other schools, is quite less. So this is what the scenario of the declining trend in the enrollment. This is the total figure. But if we go category-wise, then we'll see that at the primary level, that is from pre-primary. So the pre-primary of preschool 1, preschool 2, preschool 3, and from class 1 to 5. Then we see the enrollment scenario in 2021 in all the schools of Sikkim is around 26,764. Now it has gone down to around 66,260 in total. And now it's gone down to 61,150. And here we can realize that the primary school children are mostly in the private schools as compared to the government schools. Because if we say 39,496 children were there in 2021 in the private and other aided schools. Likewise, it's just simply 2,000 around is a decline, that is 37,916 in 25-26. Whereas in the Sikkim government schools, it's around 26,764. This is the data from the UDIs. And now it's gone down to 23,234. So the declination is around 3,000 plus. So it is in the primary level. So the number of children more in the private schools, in the primary levels. But if we go to the upper primary level, that is class 6 to class 8, we see that the figure as compared to government and private schools, the government schools figures quite increased at the middle levels. Like in 2021, we have seen that the education department schools were around 21,686, and in 25-26, it is around 15,243. The number is around 7,000. But in private schools and other schools, it was around 9,581, and in 25-26, it is around 8,973. The decrease is less, but as compared to the enrollment, the number of children more in the government schools as compared to private schools in the middle level. So likewise, if we go to the secondary level, that is from class 9 to 12, secondary level, then we see that the education department schools enrollments is more than the private schools and other schools, like 32,821 in 2021. And after a gap of 6 years, it is around 24,173. The declining trend is theirs. The graph itself shows the blue and the orange. It itself shows. So, but in the other sectors, private and government, that is 7,296 in 2021 and 6,400 plus in the 25-26. So the number of children are more in the government schools as compared to private schools. So this is what the declining trend which we have seen in the category wise. So it is there. So out of total, if you see the secondary level, that is 40,117 in 2021. And in 25-26, it's gone down to 30,631. So almost the gap of 10,000, the number of students is decreased at the secondary level also. So the main reason, as Secretary Sir have already told, that the main reason is TFR also, the total fertility rate, late marriage, and besides this, there are so many other factors also, as these issues, low fertility rate issues, were also raised in the interdepartmental coordination meeting in the Manan Kendra also by the health departments. It is known to all of us. So this is one of the main focus areas, what challenges we are facing by not only by education department, by the whole citizen of our state. And this decline is also in other states also, compared to enrollment also. So this is one of the main reason, that is the challenge which are facing. And the second important challenge which we have to focus is to strengthen the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes, if we see the Parak of class 3, Parak is, if we see the Parak means so the Parak means it is one of the cell in NCERT which was created in 2023, and it is means the performance assessment review and analysis of knowledge of holistic development. This is one of the cell in the NCERT, and this Parak conducts the assessment in the sampled school throughout the country, and in Sikkim also it was conducted last year in 2024-25. And we are taking the just example of the class 3 at the foundational level. So at the foundational level, if we see the Parak result, that the state total in English language is 62, and the national is 64. And mathematics is 53, and the national is 60. But if we bifurcate into government and private schools of our state, then we say the government schools is having 50, whereas in 72 of private schools in mathematics, whereas in English language, state government schools are in 45, and the private schools are 59. So this figure shows that the quality of education in private school is better in mathematics and science as compared to the government schools. This is a national figure. So here, so it is very important. This is out of 100, sir. So this is one of the very important FLN gaps, which is say foundational literacy and numeracy gap is closely reflected in the Parakh reports. And nowadays, National Education Policy 2020 envisages that rote learning versus competency-based learning. So that is very important part. So our students are still struggling in the rote learning. So the competency-based outcome is the need of the hour. So for which several initiatives are being undertaken already. And skill-based pedagogy is also required. And besides that, our teachers who are teaching in the classroom, really transacting the lessons, is also having a limited proficiency in bilingual pedagogy also. So that is why we need to have a basic focus on the basic skills, which is required. Outcome-based education is required. So some focused intervention is to be planned. And besides that, we also have a child-centric teaching learning by the use of teaching learning materials in the classroom, for which we have to plan the strategy accordingly. So it is very important at the foundational level as well as at the middle level. So if we go to the next step, to the secondary part, then the class 10 results is there in the graph. It shows that there is a slight increase from 23 to 24, whereas the increase is more in 2025. As we see that in 2023 is 61%, then it goes to 66.87, and now nearly in 2025 it is around almost 80%. So it is theirs. As compared to CBSE national result is 90 plus. So still we have to struggle a lot to reach that level, for which some focus program intervention is already theirs. So like CM mentorship program is also theirs. Then more training, commitment of the teachers for increasing is already seen in the result itself. So some focus academic activities are already planned. So this shows that the improvement strategy is already in place for the quality education at right from primary to secondary level in our state. And another very important factor which hindered in the learning outcomes is the GER also. So GER means gross enrollment ratio. जसमा चाहिँ students enrollment is divided by the age group population बाट हामीले divide गरेर त्यो as per national guidelines निकालिन्छ into 100 गरेर र त्यो चाहिँ हाम्रो in our state Sikkim, if we see the gross enrollment ratio at the middle level मा हेर्यो भने चाहिँ हामीले 77.6 छ. That means 100 मा 77.6 नानी चाहिँ हाम्रो स्कुलमा छ. त्यो चाहिँ प्रोजेक्टेड पपुलेसनको आधारमा र प्रोजेक्टेड पपुलेसन जुन छ त्यो नेशनल लेभलमा हामीलाई गभर्नमेन्ट अफ इन्डियाले प्रोजेक्टेड पपुलेसन दिएको छ र प्रोजेक्टेड पपुलेसनमा चाहिँ के प्रब्लम छ हाम्रो सिक्किम स्टेटमा भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ जुन प्रोजेक्सन छ उनीहरूको त्यो प्रोजेक्सन अनुसार चाहिँ हाम्रो सिक्किमको पपुलेसन ग्राफ चाहिँ इन्क्रिज भएको छैन. So that is why, because of the total fertility rate, what we have already mentioned, because it is interlinked. So that is why the figure shows here is less. But if we see in the reality, the more number of children are there in the school system. So middle was 77.67, secondary was 71.7. So likewise, it was in 22-23, then 23-24, and if we go to the 24-25, then 75.28 in the middle, and then 60.2 in the secondary. And another important factor is the dropout. So dropout means the child who are enrolled in the schools left without completing the required schooling. जसले चाहिँ अब बिचमै स्कुल छोड्यो भनेदेखि चाहिँ त्यसलाई हामीले ड्रप आउटको एउटा जुन फिगर हामीले यहाँ निकालेको छ एज पर द UDICE डाटा अफ द गभर्मेन्ट अफ इन्डिया. सो इट सोज एट द मिडल लेभल इट इज 2.2, सेकेन्डरी लेभलमा 13.2, and later on if we go to the 24-25 we see that there are 2.7 at the middle level and 9.1 at the secondary level. So the figure come down from 14.3 to 9.1 in 24-25 from 23-24. So the more children are there in the school systems. And in the secondary level, why this figure is here? Because there is a system in class 9, 10, 11, 12, 9 र 10 पास गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ नानी क्लास 11 मा जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो जुन ट्रान्जिसन फेज छ त्यो ट्रान्जिसन फेजमा चाहिँ some students are joining in the ITI, some students are joining for the polytechnic colleges, some are like opting for the A&M courses, capacity building courses. So these students are not in the system, but as per the UDICE, they calculate in the total number of students. So that is why this figure seems it is big. But actually our children are there in the system somewhere. So the figure is to be less. But